Al means white. It's the white garment. And so as the priest puts this on, this is supposed to signify purity. It's supposed to signify purity. So as the priest puts that on, he says, "Purify me, O Lord, and cleanse my heart, that being washed in the blood of the Lamb, I may enjoy everlasting happiness." So he says that as he puts it on. This basically comes from, it's actually a survival of the kind of the white Roman toga, so to speak. There's certain things that we got from, and it's also, you see this in the Jewish, the Jewish priests and stuff wear things as well. So it's a combination of both of those things. So that's the amice. So as you can see, I probably, even with this, I would need to always wear an amice with this, because you see my collar kind of gaps out. I've got one out that fits real tight on my neck. So if I wasn't wearing this, I still wear it because I like it. I like to say a prayer. But as with this, I would need to wear the amice because my collar would show if I didn't do it. All right. This, of course, is called the cincture. So this is basically, it's basically the girdle, so to speak. That's what it is. It's a girdle that you put around your waist. And it's supposed to be, of course, the idea that it's white usually. Sometimes it matches the color of the vestments. So some people will wear green or purple, whatever the vestments that they are wearing. And so basically this is it's supposed to be a symbol of continence, chastity. And so what the priest says as he puts it around it, "Gird me, O Lord, with the cincture of purity, and extinguish in my body the passion of lust, so that the virtue of chastity and continence ever remain within me." So he puts that on. That's his cincture. This right here, of course, is the stole. There you go. This is the stole. All right. So this is worn in almost every religious function. The stole is typically worn. Sometimes if I'm wearing yesterday I did confessions, so I had my cassock on and a surplice, and I still had my stole on. So this is worn in a lot of functions. It basically kind of represents my authority as a priest. It's also a symbol of immortality. It's supposed to be, and it's also about the idea of obedience. It's basically kind of, you think about yoke, the yoke of obedience, because the yokes on an oxen, they're obedient to the one who's guiding them. This is my yoke. As you can see, it's a yoke around me. So, usually you kiss it, and the prayer that you say is, "Restore to me, O Lord, the stole of immortality, which I lost in the fall of my first parent. And as I approach your sacred mysteries, although unworthy, may I merit eternal joys." Now, you're not required to tie the stole like that on your cincture. A lot of people do. That's what I do. So it doesn't really, I'm sure there's a meaning behind that. I don't know, it's just that's what people do. So that's just the way I tie it on there. You're not required. Some people wear the cincture just all to the side. They tie it all over here. But a lot of times you see priests wear it this way. And this last thing, of course, that the priest would wear is called a
vestment?
Well, the whole thing, yeah, this is a vestment. It's called a chasuble. But you're right, it's a vestment as well. Chasuble comes from the Latin word casula, and casula means little house. So it's basically kind of like the shelter of the priest. And so basically you say, this is the prayer you say, "You once said, O Lord, my yoke is easy and my burden light. Make me strong enough, I pray, to bear it in such a manner that I may obtain your grace." And with that, of course, he places the chasuble on his head. It's a symbol of protection. It's a symbol of, that I would be preserved from the evil. And it's also a symbol of charity. All right? And also, it's like I said, and so it's also, the idea too is that the stole kind of represents my authority as a priest. Now, I'm a priest, I have authority. But at the same time, this is supposed to be kind of the love of Christ that's kind of covering me. And so, even though I've got authority, you really can't see my stole, right? Because if it's not done with this, clothing with Christ, then this means nothing. It's all about me. And it's not about me, even though I have authority. So that covers that up, so to speak. There was a time when people would wear, sometimes they would call the outer stoles. They wear stoles on the outside of their chasuble. That's not allowed. It's not allowed. So sometimes you'll see that for whatever reason, because the stole's nice and pretty, but it's not supposed to be worn on the outside of the chasuble. All right? Of course, there's other colors as well that you can wear. You know all those things: green, red, purple, white. Did I miss one? gold sometimes for like, you know, big feast days like Christmas and things like that. And also black can be worn. When would you wear black? You don't usually see that typically around here, but when would black maybe be worn? The funeral can be worn, and also with purple and white can also be worn. So funeral is the typical thing that a black one, and definitely on All Souls Day. On All Souls Day. So I have a black chasuble my mother made for me. She said, "I'm going to wear it a few times." I said, "I know, Mom. Can you make one for me anyway?" She said, "Sure." So she made a nice black chasuble with a big white Lamb of God on it. And it's a nice chasuble, so wear that on All Souls Day. All right? Okay. So that's basically the clothing. All right, so at the beginning, so let's kind of start right now, kind of at the beginning of Mass. I'm going to have to, like I said, skip a lot of this stuff, because I can't go through all of this. Let's just go to the beginning. All right, so we come into the church. So like we come into the church, you make the sign of the cross with the holy water. Holy water, of course, represents what? The waters of baptism. It's also definitely, isn't this, a lot of these things, of course, are connected to the Jewish faith as well, because Christianity came out of the Jewish faith. When a Jewish person would go to eat the meals, their meals, what would they do? Yeah, ritual. And it wasn't necessarily because their hands were dirty. It was a ritually thing, of ritually cleansing themselves with washing their hands. So it comes from that as well. We come into the church, our hands go into water to recognize that we need to be ritually clean. But it's also definitely a symbol of our baptism, as well. All right, so then you go in and you sit down and pray. Now the priest, of course, he's in the back of church, getting ready to begin. We have the entrance song or the entrance antiphon, and that's important, that we sing a joyful note unto the Lord. It's important that we try to sing, we try to participate. The procession now, as the priest makes the procession is not simply, okay, we're going to sing, this is kind of the filler. We're singing until Father gets up there and kind of begins Mass. The procession is because Mass, if it's really, if it's a sanctuary, you have to step up into the sanctuary. So it's the priest, basically, our lives are directed towards what? To heaven. And that's what the sanctuary represents, heaven. Usually the tabernacle's up there. The sacrifice is going to come up on the altar. So it's the idea, this is our goal. Our goal in life is to go to heaven. And yet, it's not as though Christ is up there and he's forgotten about us. Because at the same time, I, as the priest, I represent the people, because I pray for you. I'm your mediator in that sense. But also, I represent who? Jesus. I'm in persona Christi. I don't deserve that, but I am. So the very fact is, even though our goal is to go to heaven, Jesus is not